Have you ever caught yourself wondering what the secret is to those folks who seem to breeze through their 80s and into their 90s with a twinkle in their eye and a spring in their step? Maybe you've seen that couple at the grocery store, the ones who look like they're in their 70s, but you later find out they just celebrated their 65th wedding anniversary and are both 92. It makes you think, doesn't it? What are they doing that's so different? Is it just good genes, or is there something more to it? I want to let you in on a little secret that the science of aging has been confirming for years now. While we can't choose our parents or the DNA they pass down to us, the way we live our lives, the daily choices we make, has a tremendous, and I mean tremendous, impact on not just how long we live, but how well we live. It's about adding life to our years, not just years to our life. And the wonderful news is, it's never too late to start. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, your body and your brain have an amazing capacity to respond to positive changes. Today, I want to share with you 5 lifestyle adjustments, really, that have been shown time and time again to be the common threads among people who live long, vibrant, and independent lives well into their 90s and even past 100. These aren't drastic, impossible overhauls. They are gentle, meaningful shifts in our daily routines that can pave the way for a future filled with more energy, clarity, and joy. Think of it less like a strict diet or exercise plan, and more like a new, more beautiful way of navigating this chapter of your life. So, let's settle in and chat about the first one, because this is truly the foundation that everything else is built upon. And it starts with how we move. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might be picturing running marathons or lifting heavy weights at the gym, and maybe that doesn't sound very appealing, or even possible. But please, push that image right out of your head. The kind of movement I'm talking about is entirely different. It's about purposeful, consistent motion that respects where your body is today. For so many of us, as we get a little older, there's this natural tendency to become more sedentary. We might have aches and pains, or we worry about falling, so we start to do less. We sit for longer periods. And the tricky thing is, the less we do, the less we feel like doing. Our muscles get a little weaker, our balance gets a little shakier, and that fear of falling can actually increase. It becomes a cycle. But we can absolutely reverse that cycle, gently. The first lifestyle change I want to encourage you to think about is this: embrace movement that builds your foundation. What I mean by that is focusing on 2 key things: your leg strength and your balance. These are your pillars. They are what keep you steady, what allow you to get up out of a chair without using your hands, what give you the confidence to walk on uneven ground, and what keep you independent. Think about activities that gently but consistently challenge these areas. It doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe it's a daily walk, but with a purpose. Instead of just strolling, perhaps you find a route with a gentle slope and walk up and down it a few times. That slight incline is wonderful for building leg strength. Or, while you're waiting for your kettle to boil in the morning, hold onto the kitchen counter and practice standing on one leg for 10 or 15 seconds, then switch to the other. It sounds so simple, but doing this little exercise every single day sends a powerful signal to your brain and your body: we need to maintain our balance. This is important. I remember reading about a study that looked at people in their 90s who lived independently. One of the most common threads among them wasn't that they went to intense exercise classes. It was that they lived in environments that naturally encouraged this kind of movement. They might have lived in a 2-story house and went up and down the stairs several times a day. They might have gardened, which involves squatting, standing, reaching, and carrying. They kept their bodies in conversation with the world around them. They didn't retire from moving. So, the first step, or the first change, is simply to recommit to that conversation. Find small, safe ways to weave more strengthening and balancing moves into your everyday life. It could be a gentle Tai Chi class, which is absolutely superb for balance. It could be a water aerobics class, where the water supports your joints but provides wonderful resistance. It could be as simple as doing a few chair stands throughout the day, sitting down in a sturdy chair and standing back up, without using your hands if you can. Just a few repetitions, a few times a day. This isn't about becoming an athlete. This is about preserving your most precious asset, your ability to move through your world with confidence and ease. And when you build that strong foundation, you are quite literally building a body that is capable of carrying you happily into your 90s and beyond. Now, that brings us to the second lifestyle change, and this one is just as important as the first. It's about what we feed that strong, capable body we're building. And I promise you, this isn't about restrictive dieting or giving up all the foods you love. It's about a subtle but powerful shift in perspective. It's moving from thinking about food as just something to satisfy a craving or fill us up, to thinking about it as the most powerful medicine we have. Our bodies are incredible, resilient machines, but over time, they can be affected by something called inflammation. It's a natural process, but when it becomes chronic, low-level inflammation, it's like a slow burn that can contribute to so many of the things we'd rather avoid: stiff joints, fatigue, and it even plays a role in heart health and brain health. So, the second change is to invite more foods into our diet that are natural inflammation fighters. We want to tip the scales in favor of foods that cool that fire, rather than fan the flames. Think of your plate as a palette of colors. The most vibrant, colorful foods, the deep greens of spinach and kale, the bright reds of tomatoes and bell peppers, the beautiful oranges of sweet potatoes and carrots, the rich blues of blueberries. These are packed with things called phytonutrients. They are nature's own protective compounds. So, a simple and powerful goal is to try and eat the rainbow. When you're at the grocery store or the farmer's market, let your eyes be drawn to the most colorful produce. Those are the ones that are going to do the most good. And let's talk about healthy fats for a moment. For so long, we were told that fat was the enemy. But we now know that certain fats are absolutely essential, especially for our brain health. Things like the fats you find in a beautiful, ripe avocado, in a small handful of walnuts, or in a good quality olive oil drizzled over your salad. And then there are the omega-3 fatty acids, which are like a superfuel for your brain and are wonderful for your joints. You can find these in fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. If you're not a fan of fish, flax seeds and chia seeds are excellent plant-based sources. This doesn't mean you have to completely change everything you eat overnight. It's about small, consistent additions. Maybe it's adding a handful of spinach to your morning eggs. Maybe it's swapping your afternoon cookie for a small bowl of mixed berries with a dollop of Greek yogurt. Maybe it's making a conscious effort to include a fatty fish in your meals once or twice a week. It's about crowding out the less helpful foods by inviting in more of these wonderfully protective ones. Think of it this way: every time you sit down to a meal, you have an opportunity to send your body a little message of love and support. You're giving it the specific tools it needs to keep your mind sharp, your joints happy, and your energy steady. It's one of the most direct and powerful ways we can influence how we feel today and how we'll feel 10, 20, even 30 years from now. So, we've laid the groundwork with purposeful movement, and we've started to think about food as our body's best medicine. That's a powerful start. Now, in just a moment, we're going to talk about the next piece of the puzzle, which is all about connection and its surprising impact on our longevity. You won't want to miss it. I hope you're feeling inspired to think about movement and food in a gentle, new light. It really is about those small, loving adjustments we make for ourselves. And that sense of care for ourselves leads us perfectly into the third lifestyle change, which might surprise you. It's not about what you do with your body, but what you do with your heart and your time. It's about the incredible power of connection. You see, for a long time, when we thought about living a long life, we focused almost entirely on the physical, diet, exercise, cholesterol levels. And while those things are certainly important, researchers who study the world's blue zones, those special places where people live the longest, healthiest lives, discovered something fascinating. The secret wasn't just in the kale or the daily walk. It was woven into the very fabric of their social lives. The most powerful predictor of a long, happy life wasn't their genes. It was how connected they were to the people around them. Think about that for a moment. The quality of our relationships, our sense of belonging, our feeling of being needed and loved, this has a profound, measurable impact on our physical health. When we feel lonely or isolated, our bodies actually produce higher levels of stress hormones, which can contribute to that chronic inflammation we talked about. It can affect our blood pressure, our sleep, and even our immune system. On the flip side, when we feel connected, when we laugh with a friend, when we share a meal with family, when we feel part of a community, our bodies release hormones that lower stress, reduce pain, and promote an overall sense of well-being. It's as if connection is a nutrient, just as vital as vitamins and minerals. So, the third lifestyle change is to nurture your social heart. And I know, as we get older, this can become more challenging. Friends may move away to be closer to their children. We might lose a beloved spouse or dear friends. Retirement can remove the daily social connections we had at work. It's easy to find our world getting a little smaller without even realizing it. But this is where we can be proactive and creative. We can intentionally cultivate connection, just as we would tend a garden. It doesn't have to mean becoming a social butterfly or hosting large parties if that's not your style. It's about finding your people, your tribe, in ways that feel comfortable and authentic to you. Maybe it's a regular phone call with an old friend, scheduled for the same time each week. That simple ritual can become something you both look forward to, a lifeline of laughter and shared memories. Maybe it's joining a club or group that centers around something you already love. Is there a local book club at your library? A gardening club? A walking group? A card game that meets at the community center on Thursday afternoons? These are ready-made opportunities to connect with like-minded souls. Perhaps it's about finding ways to share your own gifts and wisdom. Is there a local school or library where you could volunteer to read to children? Is there a hospital or an animal shelter that could use a friendly volunteer? When we give of ourselves, when we feel useful and needed, it's a powerful antidote to isolation. It shifts our focus outward and creates a wonderful sense of purpose. And purpose, my friend, is a key ingredient in the recipe for a long life. Having a reason to get up in the morning, something that brings you joy and a sense of contribution, is like a daily tonic for the soul. Think about the people you know who seem to radiate energy and happiness. Chances are, they are people who are engaged with life and with others. They're the ones organizing the family get-together, or the ones you always see chatting with neighbors on their morning walk. They've built a world around them filled with connection. And that world supports them, lifts them up, and quite literally, helps them live longer. So, this week, I encourage you to think of one small step you can take to nurture your social heart. It could be reaching out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. It could be looking up a local group that shares one of your interests. It could be simply making a point to smile and say hello to your neighbor. These small threads of connection, woven together, create a safety net that can catch us in hard times and lift us higher in good times. Now, as we build this beautiful picture of a long, healthy life, there's another pillar that holds it all up, and it's one we often take for granted or even try to fight against. And that brings us to the fourth change. It's about fundamentally changing our relationship with something we do every single night: sleep. For decades, there's been this strange sort of pride some folks take in bragging about how little sleep they need. Oh, I only need 5 hours, I'm fine. But the science is now absolutely clear: sleep is not a luxury, and it's not a sign of weakness. It is the single most effective thing we can do to reset and repair our brains and our bodies every single day. Think of it as your body's own nightly housekeeping service. While you rest, your brain is hard at work, clearing out toxins that build up during the day, consolidating your memories, and processing your emotions. Your body is repairing cells, boosting your immune system, and calming your nervous system. As we age, sleep can sometimes become more elusive. We might find ourselves waking up more often during the night, or waking up too early and not being able to get back to sleep. But instead of just accepting this as the way it is, we can be gentle and proactive in creating the conditions for truly restful sleep. This is about sleep hygiene, and it's one of the most powerful tools in our longevity toolkit. The first step is to think about consistency. Our bodies have a natural internal clock, our circadian rhythm, and it craves routine. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. This helps set that internal clock so it knows when it's time to wind down and when it's time to be alert. It's like training a gentle, reliable rhythm in your body. Next, let's talk about the hour before bed. This is a sacred time to signal to your brain that the day is ending. For many of us, that hour is spent in front of a television, watching the news or a tense drama. But the blue light from screens can actually suppress our body's production of melatonin, the natural hormone that helps us fall asleep. And exciting or stressful content can keep our minds racing when we want them to settle. So, consider creating a different kind of wind-down routine. Maybe it's reading a book, a real, physical book, under a warm light. Maybe it's listening to some calming music or a relaxing podcast. Maybe it's a warm cup of chamomile tea, or a gentle stretching routine, or simply sitting quietly and reflecting on the good parts of your day. This signals to your entire system, it's okay, we can relax now. We are safe. And think about your sleep environment. Is your bedroom a sanctuary for rest? Ideally, it should be cool, dark, and quiet. Sometimes, even small changes can make a big difference. Blackout curtains can help if street lights are an issue. A white noise machine or a fan can help drown out disruptive sounds. Making your bed a comfortable, inviting place can change your whole mindset as you approach it each night. This shift in perspective, from seeing sleep as a waste of time to seeing it as a vital, rejuvenating practice, can transform how you feel during your waking hours. When you're well rested, you have more energy for your walks, more clarity of mind, more patience for your loved ones, and a more resilient mood to handle life's little ups and downs. It truly is the foundation upon which all your other healthy habits are built. So, we've nurtured our bodies with movement and food, we've nourished our hearts with connection, and we've committed to giving our brains the deep rest they deserve. These are profound shifts. And yet, there is one more piece to this puzzle, one more lifestyle change that can weave all the others together into a life of deep satisfaction and joy. It's the final habit, and it's one of the most beautiful. We'll explore that next. It's wonderful to take this journey together, step by step. We've talked about moving our bodies with purpose, about fueling ourselves with colorful, protective foods, about the life-giving power of connection, and about the profound importance of restful sleep. Each of these is like a thread, and now we're ready to weave them all together with the final, beautiful thread. This fifth lifestyle change is perhaps the most transformative of all, because it touches everything. It's about the lens through which we view our lives and our world. It's about cultivating a mindset of gratitude and purpose. You might wonder, how does a feeling or an attitude translate into living longer? It's a fair question. But the research in the field of positive psychology and neuroscience is compelling. Our thoughts and our emotions are not just ethereal, floaty things. They have a direct impact on our biology. When we cultivate feelings of gratitude, when we focus on what's good in our lives, when we wake up with a sense of purpose, our brains release a cascade of beneficial chemicals. We get a boost of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, and serotonin, which helps regulate our mood. Our stress hormones, like cortisol, actually decrease. This creates an internal environment that is primed for healing and health, rather than one that is constantly on alert, fighting off the damaging effects of chronic stress. Think about the people you know who seem to age gracefully, who have that certain glow about them. Often, they are not the ones with the easiest lives or the fewest problems. They are the ones who have developed a knack for focusing on the blessings, no matter how small. They are the ones who can find something to laugh about, who can appreciate a beautiful sunset, who are genuinely interested in the people around them. They've cultivated a kind of mental and emotional resilience that acts as a shield. So, how do we actually practice this? How do we make gratitude and purpose a part of our daily lives, not just something we think about on Thanksgiving? It starts with small, simple rituals. One of the most powerful and well-researched practices is keeping a gratitude journal. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be a simple notebook you keep by your bed. Each night, before you go to sleep, just write down 3 things you were grateful for that day. They don't have to be big, monumental things. Some days, it might be the way the sunlight came through the kitchen window, or a phone call from my daughter, or that first sip of coffee this morning. The act of writing them down, of physically putting pen to paper, trains your brain to scan the world for the positive, rather than the negative. Over time, this becomes more automatic. You start to notice the good things throughout your day because your brain knows you'll be looking for them later. It's a gentle, powerful rewiring of your attention. And this practice of gratitude naturally leads us to a sense of purpose. Purpose is that feeling that you have something to offer, that your life matters, that you are here for a reason. And here's the beautiful thing: purpose doesn't have to be about a grand career or a world-changing mission. Purpose can be found in the smallest of actions. It can be in tending your rose bushes and creating beauty for yourself and your neighbors to enjoy. It can be in baking your famous chocolate chip cookies for the new family that just moved in next door. It can be in sharing your stories with your grandchildren or with a younger person who is interested in family history. It can be in simply being a kind, familiar face in your community, the one who always has a wave and a smile for everyone you pass. I think of a gentleman I once heard about. He was in his late 80s and had lost his wife a few years before. He lived alone and could have easily become isolated and depressed. But every single morning, rain or shine, he would walk to the local park with a bag of birdseed. He would sit on the same bench and feed the birds. At first, he did it for himself, because he missed his wife and it gave him something to do. But soon, other people in the park started to notice him. Children would come over to watch the birds. Other seniors would stop and chat. He became a fixture, a beloved part of the park's community. He had found his purpose. It wasn't curing cancer or writing a novel. It was showing up, every day, with a bag of birdseed and an open heart. And that simple purpose gave him a reason to get up, a connection to others, and a deep sense of fulfillment. That's available to every single one of us. We all have gifts to share, whether it's our time, our attention, our skills, or simply our presence. What is it that makes your heart feel full? What is it that you loved to do when you were younger that maybe you've set aside? Is there a way to bring a little piece of that back into your life now? Purpose is that quiet hum in your heart that says, I am here and I matter. So, as we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to take a gentle, honest look at these 5 lifestyle changes. We've talked about building a strong foundation with movement. We've talked about nourishing our bodies with vibrant, colorful foods. We've talked about the healing power of connecting with others. We've talked about the nightly reset of deep, restful sleep. And finally, we've talked about the life-affirming practice of gratitude and purpose. None of these require perfection. This isn't about never missing a day of walking or never having a slice of cake. It's about a gentle shift in direction. It's about making small, consistent choices that say, I value myself. I value this life I've been given. It's about painting a beautiful picture of your future, not with fear of what might go wrong, but with hope and intention for what can go right. You have lived through so much. You have wisdom, strength, and resilience that younger generations can only dream of. And now, you have the opportunity to take all of that life experience and use it to craft your healthiest, happiest chapter yet. Imagine yourself 5, 10, even 20 years from now, still vibrant, still curious, still connected, still finding joy in each new day. That future is not just a wish. It is something you can actively, lovingly build, starting right now. I would so love to hear from you. Which of these 5 areas resonates most with you today? Is there one small step you feel called to take? Perhaps you're already doing some of these things, and you have your own wisdom to share with our community. Please, drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts, your experiences, or even just your hopes. Reading your comments and knowing we're on this journey together is one of the greatest joys of creating these videos. And if this conversation has been helpful or encouraging to you, it would mean the world to me if you would click that like button. It helps more people find their way to this little corner of the internet where we focus on living well at any age. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel and tapping that notification bell. That way, we can continue to explore these topics together, supporting each other every step of the way. For now, my friend, I want to leave you with this thought: your best years are not behind you. They are being shaped by the choices you make today. So, go easy on yourself, celebrate the small victories, and keep moving forward with a grateful heart. Here's to living your best life at any age. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.